Hello there, everyone. My name is Sludgy, and I am recording my first video. I will be talking about the new Star Wars show that just ended last week, called Skeleton Crew. So before I start talking about that, I want to say that I have not liked a lot of the Star Wars stuff that has come out in recent years. I did not like Book of Boba Fett very much. I hated Obi-Wan, and I hated Acolyte. The only stuff I liked from Disney Star Wars is the first two seasons of Mandalorian. I thought the third season kind of flopped. Not as good as the first two. I loved Andor, and I even liked the standalone Solo movie. Also, Rogue One was okay. But when it comes to Skeleton Crew, I can confidently say I am not angry at it. Okay, so this is not like a lot of the Star Wars shows that has come out. There is not a lot of action to be had, but it's not really much of a Star Wars show. If it didn't take place in the Star Wars universe, let's say, or if you didn't know it took place in the Star Wars universe, you would have no idea, because it's very different. A lot of the stuff in the show doesn't have anything to do with the Republic or the Jedi or the Sith. It's kind of like a self-contained story. So let's talk about it. So basically, this show is about this group of kids, Wim, Fern, KB, and I forget the fucking elephant guy's name. It's about these group of kids, and they're on this planet, which is very special because they're not allowed to leave. The planet is surrounded by this big barrier, and they're meant to stay there their entire lives. But despite the fact that this planet is so isolated and no one ever leaves, it's very wealthy. So one day, Wim, I guess the main character, even though there's really no main character, it's mainly just the group of kids that are the main characters, he finds what he thinks is a old Jedi temple, and the group of kids meet up for different reasons, and they find out that it's not a Jedi temple, but it's an old abandoned ship. And Wim, like he's like he was a fish attracted to the shiny lure, presses a button. He's a kid. He presses a button, and the ship activates, and it flies out, and they're in space. And now they have to find a way home because Wim couldn't resist pressing a button. But then they find out that it's not as easy as they thought, because no one seems to think that their planet actually exists. That there's this big conspiracy theory among like all these pirates, where like Ad-Adin is like this long lost treasure that people have spent years trying to find, but no one ever has. So as they're on the ship, they meet this robot called, I think, S-33. He was a robot that was part of the ship, and we find out that the ship was actually a pirate's. So he's kind of like a Star Wars version of a parrot. Like Blackbeard's parrot. So he's like, I don't know what you call that. He's basically like a robot that was the partner, or the I guess the robot servant of this pirate ship. They convince the robot to help them, and as they continue to try and find a way home, they're starting to realize how deep this conspiracy goes. And then they go into this place where like it's a whole bunch of pirates. It's like a pirate haven. And they get captured, and they're stuck there. They're in this cell, and they they don't know what to do. They're trying to get out, but then the cell that they're in is shared with this one guy who reveals himself, and he is apparently a Force user. So he floats a key and unlocks the cell door from outside, and now they're all working together. That's trying to find Aten, the home planet of the kids. I'm gonna stay away from spoilers, but that's pretty much the premise of the show. I don't want to spoil how it ends or like the character moments, but that's basically it. So, when it comes to this show, I think the plot is simple. It's honestly a little too simple. I feel like it's been done before, but I'm not mad at it because I think it was done well. And let's talk about the characters. Because the main characters are kids, they're spoiled brats that have never seen outside their planet, and they're all from wealthy families, so they're all spoiled, they're all ignorant, and they don't know anything about the galaxy. So in that way, it is a little bit annoying to watch these characters argue like children, but it makes sense because they are children. So they're ignorant, they're spoiled, they're annoying. It's not terrible. I mean, it can be a little annoying, but they're kids, so it works. It works in that setting. But the Force sensitive guy who they found in that cell, he's very interesting, and they keep his character ambiguous. For like a lot of the show, they keep his abilities ambiguous. Like one of the main characters, Fern, she points out that he might not actually be a Jedi. He could just use magnets to float stuff, and he constantly does stuff, like he constantly floats stuff, but he never does anything like Force pushes. So they make it ambiguous until like the very, very end if he actually is a Force sensitive, and I think that was kind of cool. And the guy's character, his name is Jod. He has a bunch of different names, but the main name is Jod, and I think he's a very cool character, and he was like very relatable with how he acted, because he was like this tired adult. It was funny. But I think he was a good character, and I think 33, the robot, I think he was the best part, because he was so cool. I loved how like he reacted to, like, after being asleep for so long, how he reacted to like the change in galaxy. It was really cool. And what else? The music. Let's talk about, of course, when we talk about Star Wars, we have to talk about the music. I think the music was passable. I don't think it was anything extraordinary. I don't think it was done by John Williams. I actually don't remember who it was done by. I never really paid attention to the credits. Sue me. But I think the music was passable. I think some of it was good, but I don't think any of the music, I don't think any of the score was extraordinary. But yeah, so Skeleton Crew, I think it's kind of like the standalone Solo movie for me. So it's like a good show, or Solo was a good movie in that case, but it's kind of like a meaningless show, or like it's not very important because it doesn't really add anything to the Star Wars universe. Because of that, it's a very self-contained story. I feel like it's just a fun 8-episode show, and if it does get a season 2, we'll talk about that when if it does come out. I don't know how I feel about a season 2, because I'd rather them focus on like the main plot of Star Wars with like Admiral Thrawn and shit. But I think the show by itself is good. If fitting it in with the Star Wars universe, I think it's kind of meaningless, and it doesn't. I don't think it doesn't belong, but it just doesn't feel necessary to the universe. But other than that, I think the show was good. I would definitely suggest giving it a watch. Actually, let me talk about a complaint. It's not a spoiler, but the reason I think that there might be a season 2 coming out is because the final episode ends very abruptly. Like, there doesn't seem to be like a lot of resolution to a lot of the characters that they show at the end. So like I feel like there is going to be season 2 because of how abrupt the show ended. So I am kind of interested in seeing what they can do with the season 2, but I'd rather they focused on the main plot of Star Wars right now, which with Ahsoka and Ezra and Admiral Thrawn and that plot right there with like the Mandalorian, like with the Mandalorian. I think the Mandalorian movie comes out this year, right? Or whatever. It's not important right now. But anyway, long story short, I think the show is worth watching. If you like mindless sci-fi with a fun little conspiracy theory, give it a watch. But how I'd rate this show, I think I'd rate this show a solid 65 or 70% out of 100. Again, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's extraordinary. I just think it's good. So, I think it's worth a watch. Alright, thank you very much for watching my very first video, and I will see you all next time.